Hi, I'm Sterling, and you are learning American English with me. And this is another video I decided to make just to talk, just to give you some practice listening to conversational English. And I wanted to show off my hobby car here. I'm sitting in my Combi. It's a little bit battered. It's a cargo version. It's a 1985 with the 1600 air-cooled engine, and we bought this Combi in. We found it online, and I don't know how good I'm centering the picture here because there's too much sunlight. I can't tell even if the car is in the video, but I'm walking around it, and you may be able to see that it is in need of a little bit of body work. There's some things that need to be repaired, and I'm actually thinking of putting a fresh engine in it because here in Guadalajara or even in Mexico, you can find you can purchase rebuild engines for a very reasonable price as compared to other vehicles. So Combi is a very practical, fun car. You have to get used to it being a slow moving, not powerful vehicle. Uh, Generally, like 70 or 80 kilometers. That's a good comfortable speed in this car. I have in the past driven for long periods of time. For instance, when we were bringing the vehicle back from Acapulco, we flew down to Acapulco. We bought this vehicle unseen. I just looked at some photographs from the fellow that I purchased it from in Acapulco. Really nice guy. He picked us up at the airport when we flew into Acapulco and took us to his house. We actually stayed in their spare bedroom for 2 or 3 nights, I can't remember, in the heart of Acapulco. It was very nice. While we're in Acapulco, we had a chance to go see the cliff diving in the evening. That was very entertaining. I had not seen that before. I don't know if I would have made a special trip to Acapulco just to see the cliff diving, but now I can say, yes, I've seen the cliff diving. We probably we pat ourselves on the back that we made the trip back safely from Acapulco. I have a good friend who lives in Mexico City, and on the way back from Acapulco, we drove one day we drove from Acapulco to my friend's house in Mexico, and then we continued on home the next day. So we made it a 2-day trip. It was a little more expensive than I thought. The toll roads between Mexico City, well, including the toll roads between Acapulco and Mexico, and the toll roads between Mexico and Guadalajara, I believe we spent over 2,000 pesos in tolls, which was, I think, maybe more money than we spent on gasoline. But anyway, we made it back without any problems. Since then, I've had a couple of mechanical problems with the car here, but I'm close to people who can work on it. I've met some very good friends in the bus company, which is the Guadalajara Combi Club, which meets every week in the Sam's Club parking lot on Otero. And I've made some very good contacts there, and now I'm thinking of getting some work done on this thing. But the trip to Acapulco was very interesting. I had my first experience with police messing with you. I was not driving. The previous owner of the Combi was driving when we were pulled over by a motorcycle cop for allegedly running a red light, and the conditions were such that going through the light was the only logical thing to do. But it was interesting that the cop was really not wanting to write a ticket. He was offering to do something else for my friend instead of writing the ticket. The bottom line was my friend only had 100 pesos in his wallet. He showed him. He said, first the cop said, well, 500 pesos, that can take care of this and I won't have to write a ticket. And my friend said, no, I don't have 500 pesos. Look in my wallet. I have 100 pesos. And then the price came down to 200 after some talking. And finally, we were sitting there, not really accomplishing anything, not really coming to a conclusion. And finally the cop said, okay, I'll take 100. So for 100 pesos, we got off the hook and we continued on our way. I must say, I have not had any issues with any police in all of Mexico. I've driven all over the city. I do a lot of driving. The police in Guadalajara do not mess with you if you drive sanely and you don't do anything stupid. The police don't mess with you. And I don't think the police bribery is that big of a thing in Guadalajara. This is what my friends tell me that have been pulled over, but I have not been pulled over, so I don't concern myself with it. And of course, you're not going to get a speeding ticket in the Combi. It's like one time I did see, I think 105, 106 on the speedometer on a long downhill section. And I was afraid that was just a little bit hard on things, but I was letting gravity pull the vehicle down and trying not to use my brakes. But you have to accustom yourself to driving an underpowered vehicle. I would like to get one of these stickers that I've seen people use that are in the Combi Club that says, caution, low speed vehicle, etc. I keep my Combi parked outside here. We only have one parking space for the place where we live. We will have 2 parking spaces when we move, but I probably will keep it outside. Anyway, because they're very small parking spaces and I need some space for the dog to be able to go outside and go to the bathroom and this sort of thing. But anyway, I'm having some running problems with this. At the moment, I just used it a while ago. An American friend of mine was moving to a different apartment and she needed a mattress moved, and I had trouble getting the Combi to start because it's been sitting here for a month. It doesn't like being parked on a slope. I'm just going to see if it starts now. If it does, awesome. Yep. The problem is, I believe the float bowl's sticking. And when you park on a slope, it has a tendency to flood the carburetor, and then it won't start because it's on a slope. And then all you can do is wait. So what I did, when I got home, I accidentally parked badly, and I already had shut the engine off. The Combi was on the slope. It wouldn't restart. So I pushed it out, and I bump started it down the hill. Bump starting, if you're not familiar with that word, bump starting is when you start the car without a starter. You turn the ignition key on, put the car in like 3rd gear, roll it down the hill, and then you release the clutch, and the motor will start that way because we're on a good, long, steep hill here, so there's plenty of room to make sure it starts. So I finally got it unflooded that way, made a U-turn and came back and tried to park on a more level more level space. So anyway, that's my Combi. That is my Acapulco story. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for listening and thanks for following. Bye-bye.